What happens when the owner of a fast-growing burger chain goes undercover and sees a cook take the fall for someone else's mistake? Noah Keller stood outside the back door of the 6th location of his burger restaurant chain, wearing a fake beard, a cheap windbreaker, and steel-toed boots that felt 2 sizes too small. He looked nothing like the man whose name was on the lease of all 6 buildings. And that was the point. He'd bought the business 5 years ago from a family who wanted out. Back then, it had only been 2 locations. Now it was 6 with over 100 employees. Growth had come fast and so had distance. Lately, he'd been hearing things that didn't sit right: complaints from customers and a few anonymous emails from employees. Most of it vague: slow service, bad attitudes, turnover, nothing concrete but enough to make his gut twist. He didn't want secondhand answers anymore. So he decided to go in himself. The district manager, Rob, had helped him set up the undercover shift here at the Westover location. Only Rob knew who Noah really was, and Rob wasn't even supposed to be in the building today. The Westover store manager, a tall guy named Mason, had never met him. None of the staff had. It was a corporate-style setup. Employees were used to seeing trainers and temps rotate through. Noah had told them he was Cal, a trainee helping out during a staff shortage. That part was true. 2 cooks had quit the week before after a scheduling dispute. "Yo, Cal," Mason's voice cut through the clatter of the kitchen. "You're on grill with Dante. Keep up." Noah nodded and moved toward the grill where a young man with tired eyes was flipping patties with one hand while wiping sweat with the other. "You Dante?" "Yeah," he said, barely glancing over. "Grab a spatula. Don't burn the buns." Noah got to work, copying Dante's rhythm. The place was swamped. Customers filled every booth and the drive-through line stretched past the dumpster. The fryer beeped non-stop. Mason barked orders from the pass window but didn't lift a finger to help. 3 hours in, Noah's shirt clung to his back. He was getting a crash course in just how hard these shifts could be. "Hey, where's Camille?" Dante muttered under his breath. She was on prep. Noah looked around. The prep table was empty. Bathroom, maybe. Dante sighed and kept working. "She's been out for like 20 minutes. She's not okay today." A minute later, Mason stomped into the back. "Who didn't restock the lettuce tubs?" he snapped. "We're out." Noah opened his mouth, but Dante stepped forward. "That's on me," Dante said quickly. "I meant to, but I got pulled to the grill." Mason's eyes narrowed. "You're getting written up." Noah frowned. The prep station wasn't Dante's job, but he said nothing. "Not yet." Mason returned to the front. Noah leaned over. "That wasn't you, was it?" Dante shook his head. "Camille's got something going on. She looked like she was about to pass out. I figured I'd cover her." Noah felt a twist in his chest. "You always do that." Dante gave a tired shrug. "Someone has to." Noah watched as Mason came back, this time with a clipboard. "Sign this, Dante." Dante wiped his hands and signed without a word. Noah's jaw clenched, but he kept flipping patties. Later, during a short lull, he found Camille near the fire exit, crouched against the wall, pale and shaking. "Hey, you okay?" She looked up, startled. "I'm fine. Just low blood sugar. I forgot to eat this morning. You should sit down." "I can't. Mason told me if I take another break, I'm done." Noah stared at her. "What?" "Yeah. He said we're short-staffed and he's tired of excuses." She stood before he could respond and walked back inside, unsteady but moving. That was it. Noah took off his gloves, wiped his hands, and walked straight to the front where Mason stood sipping soda and scrolling his phone. "Hey, Mason," he said evenly. Mason didn't look up. "What?" "I need you to come to the office. Now." Mason glanced at him, confused. "Why?" Noah pulled the fake beard off and dropped it on the counter. Mason's face went pale. "I own this place," Noah said. "And we need to talk." Customers looked up. Employees froze. Mason slowly followed him to the back. Inside the cramped office, Noah shut the door. "You wrote up a cook for something he didn't do," Noah said. "And you threatened to fire a girl who's clearly sick. Explain." Mason swallowed hard. "Look, we're slammed. I don't have time to babysit. People need to show up ready to work. You think scaring them is leadership? I just need them to do their jobs." Noah leaned in. Dante did someone else's job and took the blame for it. You punished the wrong person. That's not just bad management, that's cowardice. I didn't know, you didn't ask. Mason looked down. I'm not making a decision right now, Noah said, but I'm watching. He walked out of the office and called everyone to the front. Quick huddle, he called. The staff gathered, confused. Camille leaned against the wall, pale. Dante stood quietly beside the friar. I'm Noah Keller, he said. I own this company. I've been working undercover today, and I saw a lot. Eyes widened. Camille gasped. Dante's jaw dropped. I'm not here to scare anyone, Noah said. But I saw what happened. Dante, you stepped up. You covered for someone without throwing them under the bus. That's leadership. Camille, you need help, not threats, and we're going to fix that. He paused. Things are going to change. Starting now. Noah sat at the break room table after the store closed, the last hum of the friars still fading from the kitchen. The chairs were up on the tables out front, and the scent of grease clung to his sleeves. Across from him, Dante rested his elbows on the table, picking absently at a callus on his thumb. I know it's late, Noah said, but I wanted to talk before you go. Dante gave a slow nod. Sure, Noah leaned forward slightly. How long have you been working here? Little over a year, Dante said. Started part-time, got bumped to full-time when 2 line cooks quit in the same week. That happen often? Noah asked. Dante met his eyes. Turnover's bad, people don't stick, not for long. Noah paused. Why'd you stay? Dante hesitated. I need the hours. My mom's not working right now. She's recovering from surgery. Noah didn't say anything for a moment. You've been carrying a lot, he said finally. Dante shrugged slightly. It's just what it is. Noah reached into his pocket and slid a folded paper across the table. That write-up from earlier, it's void. You're not getting blamed for someone else's job. Dante looked at it but didn't touch it. Thanks. But honestly, that's not the first time it's happened. What do you mean? I've seen other people get written up for stuff Mason didn't check out. Camille got docked hours last month because someone said she left mid-shift, but she was told to leave because we were over hours. No one backed her up. Noah's jaw tightened. Why didn't anyone say anything? Dante's eyes didn't move. Because nobody listens. You complain, you're labeled difficult, then your hours disappear. Noah sat back slowly. The weight of it settled in his chest. Who else has been affected? Dante tapped his fingers against the table. There's a guy named Lewis. Worked here 6 months, always early. Took extra shifts. One day he asked for a weekend off to see his son has shared custody. Mason cut his hours the next schedule. Said we were tight on labor. Lewis quit 2 weeks later. Noah's voice dropped. You think that was retaliation? Dante gave a single nod. Everyone knew it. No one said it. Noah stood. I'm going to talk to Camille. You good to stay another 10 minutes? Yeah. I'll wait. He found Camille in the back corner by the dry storage, folding aprons into a cracked plastic bin. Her hands moved methodically like she was trying to stay invisible. Camille, she looked up, wary. Got a minute, she nodded, following him to the office. He motioned for her to sit. You don't owe me anything, he began, but I need to understand what's been happening here. I want the truth. Her fingers twisted in her lap. What do you want to know? Noah sat across from her. Dante told me about the scheduled dock last month. Said you were told to leave early, then penalized for it. She looked down. That's true. Who told you to leave? Mason, we were over hours. He told me to clock out. I did. Next week I only had 2 shifts. Did you ask why? I did. He said my reliability was in question. That I shouldn't leave unless I'm told by a supervisor, but he was the one who told me. Did you go to anyone else? She laughed once bitterly. Who? HR is a voicemail. The district manager shows up once a month, walks the floor for 10 minutes, then leaves. No one's watching. Noah stood and walked to the window. Outside, streetlights flickered over the empty lot. I'm watching now, her voice softened. People here are tired, Noah, and not just from the work, it's the pressure, the way we're talked to, like we're disposable. He turned back around. How long have you been here? 7 months. You want to stay? She hesitated, then nodded. I like the work when it's good, I like the people, just not the way we're treated. Noah tapped the desk once before standing. Thank you, go home, get some rest. I'll take care of the rest. She looked at him for a moment, processing his tone, then stood and quietly left. Noah stayed behind, his hands braced on the desk. The picture was becoming clearer and worse than he'd expected. Not just a bad day or a one-time lapse. This was a pattern, a culture. And it had been allowed to grow. He walked back into the kitchen where Dante waited, arms crossed. You heading home now? Noah asked. Yeah, I'll be back tomorrow morning. I want to see how this place runs without the dinner rush. Dante nodded. You gonna talk to Mason? Noah's voice was steady. First thing. The next morning, Noah arrived before sunrise. The store was quiet. The opening crew shuffled in one by one. He waited in the office. At 7, Mason walked in, half a breakfast sandwich in his hand. Mason, Noah said plainly. Mason froze mid-step. Sit down, he did slowly. I've spent the last 12 hours reviewing schedules, write-ups, and camera footage. I've also spoken to 2 employees about your conduct. Mason opened his mouth. Noah held up a hand. I don't want excuses, I want facts. Did you instruct Camille to clock out and then punish her for doing it? Mason shifted. I didn't think yes or no. Yes. Did you reduce Lewis's hours after he requested a weekend off to see his son? Mason's eyes flicked to the wall. I needed coverage. He wasn't available. But you didn't tell him that. You just dropped his hours. No response. Did you write up Dante yesterday for something you didn't verify? I assumed. Did you verify? No, Noah stood. Effective immediately, you're being terminated. Mason's face went red. You can't, I can. And I am. This isn't about one mistake. This is about repeated abuse of authority, retaliation, neglect, and intimidation. You failed these employees. They deserve better. Mason stood, opening his mouth again. Leave your keys at the desk. Someone will escort you out. He didn't argue this time. He just left. Noah walked to the front. The team was mid-prep. Camille was slicing tomatoes. Dante was running the stock list. They looked up when he entered. Mason's gone, Noah said. Permanently? No one spoke, but the air shifted. He continued, starting today, we're restructuring. Until we hire a new manager, I'll be here, every morning shift. We'll be bringing in a regional HR rep to review past write-ups. If you've been treated unfairly, you'll be heard. And we're reopening applications for anyone who wants more hours based on performance, not favoritism. Camille blinked hard but stayed focused on her knife. And one more thing, Noah added. I'm not just here to fix what's broken, I'm here to prevent it from happening again. You deserve leadership that respects the work you do. As he turned to head back into the office, he caught Dante's eyes. The young man gave the smallest nod just once. It was enough. Noah stood at the back counter, sleeves rolled up, watching the early lunch rush build. He'd been on the line since 8, not as an owner, but as a fill-in cook. He wasn't interested in speeches today. He wanted to show up the way his staff did, focused, tired, and without a cushion. The crew was tighter than yesterday. Camille worked prep with calm precision, her eyes clearer than they'd been. Dante handled grill with a quiet confidence, his muscle memory carrying the rhythm. There was still tension in the air, but something had shifted. Everyone seemed to work with a little less fear. At 11:30, the backup cashier called out sick, leaving only one person, a teenager named Keller, to handle both counter and drive-through. Noah noticed her struggling to juggle the headset and front register while running orders to the window. She moved fast, but her face was pinched with stress. Kayla, he called over, when the next batch of burgers comes off the grill, I'll run the drive-through trays. Her eyes widened. You sure? I'm already sweating, he said, grabbing a pair of gloves. Might as well earn it. She let out a breath and nodded, pulling her headset back on. Noah moved quickly, assembling bags and drinks, handing them off without missing a beat. Customers barely looked up, but he didn't care. He was learning more here than he ever did from quarterly reports. By one, the worst of the rush had passed. Noah stepped into the office to cool down and drink some water. A knock tapped on the half-open door. Camille peeked in. Got a second? Always. She stepped inside, closing the door behind her. I didn't want to say this in front of anyone, but there's something I think you should know. About last month, Noah set his bottle down. Go ahead. There was a girl named Mariah, worked here for maybe 3 weeks. First job kind of shy, she was on fries and Mason kept hovering around her, like standing too close, making comments about her nails, her hair. Once I saw him touch her lower back when he passed behind her. Noah's jaw tensed. Did she report it? She tried. Told me she left a message with HR, nothing happened. The next schedule came out and she had 1 shift. She never came back. Did anyone else see it? Yeah, Lewis did. He told Mason to knock it off once. After that, he started getting his hours cut too. Noah stood. Thank you for telling me. That's not going to be ignored. Camille nodded once and left the room. Noah picked up his phone and called Rob, the district manager. I need you at Westover. Now, Rob sounded surprised. Everything all right? No, it isn't. And I'm not waiting until the next review. He hung up and pulled up HR's internal database. Mariah's complaint had been logged, marked, resolved with no notes. An hour later, Rob arrived, face tight with concern. Noah met him in the office. You signed off on this? He pointed to the screen. Rob scanned the entry. I never saw this. That's not my initials. Then who marked it resolved? Rob leaned in. That's Mason's login. Noah stared at the screen. He closed his own harassment complaint. Rob exhaled sharply. That's a violation. He's not even supposed to access that side of the system without clearance. I want you to notify HR, open an investigation, and I want a direct contact number for Mariah. She deserves to be heard. I'll get on it immediately. As Rob left, Noah stepped out front. The team was resetting for dinner prep. He pulled Dante aside. You know what happened with Mariah? Dante looked down. Yeah, I saw Mason corner her once. She looked scared. I told him to back off. He laughed and said she wasn't complaining. Why didn't you report it? I figured it'd get ignored, same as everything else. Noah nodded slowly. It won't be ignored anymore. Later that afternoon, he held a closed-door meeting with the crew, only line staff, no supervisors. He stood in front of them, no clipboard, no script. I want to be clear about something, he said. What happened here under Mason's management wasn't just bad leadership, it was dangerous. People were pushed out for speaking up and others were harassed without protection. That ends now. No one spoke, but the silence was heavy with attention. We're putting in a new reporting system. Anonymous, third-party monitored. No manager will have access to close or alter a complaint. Every report will be reviewed by someone outside the store. Any retaliation, any as grounds for immediate termination. No exceptions. A few heads nodded. Kayla's eyes welled, but she blinked it down. Noah continued, we're also bringing in a workplace conduct trainer. Everyone here, including me, will go through it. He looked around the room. I know I can't undo what's already happened, but I can promise you this, I will be present, I will be accountable, and I will never let this culture grow again. After the meeting, employees trickled back to their stations. No applause, no cheers, but a quiet sense of relief settled into the room. At the end of the night, Noah helped mop the kitchen. As he dumped the last bucket of water, Kayla approached him by the sinks. Can I ask you something? Of course. Why'd you come here undercover? You could have just sent someone. I stopped trusting the reports I was getting. And I figured if I wanted the truth, I had to see it for myself. She hesitated. You saw a lot. I did, he said. But not just the bad, I saw people who care, who take pride in their work. That's worth fighting for. She gave a small nod. Thanks for backing us. Noah looked around the kitchen. It was cleaner than when he'd first arrived, not just physically but in spirit. Don't thank me yet, he said. We've got a long way to go, but we're walking it together. As she left, Noah leaned against the sink, letting the quiet settle. Tomorrow, he'd be back. Not because he had to, but because now he couldn't imagine not being here. Noah arrived at Westover 2 hours before open, parking behind the building where the delivery trucks usually backed in. A thin mist hung in the air, and the pavement was still damp from the overnight rain. He carried 2 things: a clipboard with a list of pending decisions, and a letter from HR confirming the conclusion of the internal investigation into the previous manager's misconduct. Inside, the kitchen lights were already on. Dante was unpacking the morning delivery 20-pound boxes of frozen patties and sealed tubs of pickles. He glanced over his shoulder when he heard the door. "You're here early," he said, setting a box down gently against the wall. "So are you," Noah replied. "You always take deliveries solo. If I don't, it throws off the prep schedule." Noah nodded. "You're not alone today. Go grab coffee if you want. I've got this." Dante hesitated, then pulled off his gloves. "Be back in 5. As soon as he left, Noah stepped into the office and reviewed the schedule. They were short-staffed again, one cashier out with strep, another called in for a family emergency. He adjusted the shift blocks, extending Camille's prep by an hour and moving a part-time cook into the floater role. It wasn't ideal, but it would keep the line from collapsing. When Dante returned, Noah handed him a revised schedule. "Camille's extended on prep," he said. "You'll run point on grill and supervise the stock count. That okay?" Dante scanned the changes. "Yeah, it's tight, but we can make it work." "Good. I've got a meeting with HR in 30 minutes. After that, I'm sitting down with everyone." "You'll want to hear it." By 9:30, the full morning crew had arrived. Camille was already deep in prep, slicing onions with a pair of earbuds in. Kayla was sanitizing the front counter, her hoodie sleeves rolled up, revealing a small tattoo on her forearm, a faded sunflower. She noticed Noah walking toward the front and pulled one bud out. "We doing another meeting soon," Noah said, "but this one's different." She gave a small nod and returned to her work. At 10:15, Rob arrived with the HR rep, a middle-aged woman named Claudia with sharp eyes and a neutral tone. They met in the office, the door closed but not locked. "We've completed our review," Claudia began, opening her folder. The former store manager accessed and closed a harassment complaint without authorization. That alone violates 3 corporate policies. "Disciplinary action?" Noah asked. "Already processed," she said. "His employment was terminated with cause. We've also flagged his eligibility for rehire as permanently restricted." "What about the employee who filed the complaint?" We contacted her. Mariah declined reinstatement, but she accepted a formal apology and a severance package. "She asked that we make the store safer for whoever comes next." Noah nodded. "We will," Claudia continued. "We're recommending mandatory quarterly conduct training for all on-site leadership. That includes you until a new manager is placed." "Agreed." She stood and extended a hand. "I'll leave you to it. Let me know if you need anything else." After they left, Noah gathered the full team in the dining area before the doors opened to customers. There were 8 employees, everyone on shift. He waited until they were seated or leaning against the booths before speaking. "I want to tell you what's been happening behind the scenes," he began. "You deserve to know." He explained the findings of the investigation in plain language, no corporate jargon, no attempts to soften the facts. He told them what Mariah had endured, how her complaint had been buried, and how HR failed to catch it until now. Camille's jaw clenched. Kayla stared at the floor. No one interrupted. "She asked for one thing," Noah said. "That we make this store safer for the people who come after her. That's not optional anymore." He looked around the room. "Starting next week, we're installing a third-party reporting system. It's private. No one here, not me, not corporate, can see who submitted what until the investigation begins. You'll also see a new conduct poster in the break room. It'll list every type of behavior we won't tolerate: harassment, retaliation, threats, or intimidation, and who to contact if it happens." "Does that include customers?" Kayla asked. Noah nodded. "Yes, if a customer crosses a line, you don't have to smile through it. You come get me or whoever's managing, we'll handle it." Dante raised a hand slightly. "What about scheduling? If someone needs time off, is that still gonna get them cut from shifts?" Noah shook his head. "We're rebuilding the scheduling system. Requests will be handled through a shared portal and all approvals will be tracked. No more verbal promises. No more punishments for asking. Camille glanced up. And the write-ups. Every disciplinary record issued under the previous manager is under review. If you were penalized unfairly, it'll be removed from your file. You'll be notified by next week. He paused. We're also giving every current employee a one-time bonus. It's not huge, it's not going to fix everything, but it's a recognition of what you've carried. Kayla blinked. Even part-timers, especially part-timers, they broke for prep soon after. No applause, no cheers. Just a long silence that felt heavier than anything said aloud. That night, Noah stayed again to close. Not as a gesture, but because the new interim manager, someone transferred from another location, was shadowing, and he wanted to be sure the tone stayed consistent. After the last customer left, and the kitchen was almost clean, Dante joined him in the office doorway. "Can I ask something? Go ahead." "What happens when you're not around anymore?" he said. "When someone else takes over." Noah stood and walked over to the desk, pulling a binder from the drawer. Inside were the new protocols, signed by HR, regional management, and himself. "This stays," he said. "Every shift lead and manager will be trained on it. Any violation goes straight to corporate, and I'll be checking in monthly." Unannounced. Dante leaned against the door frame. "You think it'll stick?" Noah looked at him. "Only if people like you stay." "And speak up." Dante nodded once slowly. "I'll be here." As he left the office, Noah sat alone for a moment, staring out at the now empty dining area. The silence wasn't heavy this time, it just felt earned. The company wasn't fixed, not entirely. But in this one store, the damage had been named, the wounds exposed to daylight. And that was the first step toward healing. More than policies, more than systems, it came down to a simple truth. People had to feel safe showing up. Not just physically, but in who they were. And from now on, they would. Noah stood, turned off the lights, and locked the door behind him.